Okay, I have a feeling this video might be a long one, and it might be a long day. This is rather bittersweet in that my beloved Sapphire Blue GT3 is leaving probably tomorrow morning. And it's going to Cincinnati, to the dealership that I purchased my new white with black wheels, black LEDs GT3 RS. So if you don't follow me on Instagram or don't follow the private Obsessed Garage Facebook group, then you may not know this, but I talked about it briefly, but in the GT350 video, the exit interview. But this car is leaving, and it's being replaced by a GT3 RS. I found a 713 mile 2016. It was built December, or it was delivered December 24th of 2016, so a late 2016 car. It's certified pre-owned, and so that'll help. So the warranty will go through what is it, 6 years? 6 years, and I forget what the mileage is. I think it's 75,000 miles, which obviously will never hit. But so it'll be warranted through 2023, I believe. Or 2022. So the thing will be warranted, and not that these cars really don't have many issues other than the motors exploding. And Porsche's step up and said, you know, they're going to cover pretty much all of these. They haven't explicitly said they're going to cover the RS, and it was, you know, really the 2014 GT3, because they believe they'd fix the issues in the F and G series motors. This is an E series motor. But again, we'll talk more about that as we go through the video. So intent today is take the bumper cover off one last time. I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to be replacing, putting the side mufflers back on, the headers back on, and the center mufflers are already the stock center muffler. So what I have to do is get those back on. I'll take and replace I'll take the BMC filters out, because I'll put those on the RS, put these brand new factory paper filters back in. I've also got to put the factory DME back in. Really, the tune on the car isn't really doing all that much, other than a little air fuel adjustment, and then tuning out the CEL codes that was intermittent on the first iteration of the Dun & exhaust. So I'll put that back in. So I got a bunch of work here to do today. I'm going to leave the stereo in. I'm probably not going to give them the subwoofer, but anyway, this process is going to be long here today, and I figured why not set up the camera, since this is kind of how the channel got the start of me messing around, taking the bumper cover off, trying 13 different exhaust iterations until I came to this conclusion. So I'm going to get cracking here. All right, so I fully intended to use quick jacks, and the new quick jacks that I got from Ben Pack. They sent it to me. I feel bad. They sent it to me like weeks ago. I just haven't had the right project that I was working on to use it. Well, now this is the perfect one, but what I didn't realize, I started getting it out, but what I didn't realize is that it's a pretty decent process to get the thing set up. You know, so I have to go through a lot of work to get the thing to, you know, to use it. Let me see here. How did I do this one? It's been a couple of years now since the last time I had this bumper off. So I have to remind myself how to do it. So anyway, I just got off the phone, so I started setting up the quick jack. So, you know, the Ben Packs, Max and the boys from Ben Pack watched this video, and I told them I was going to be doing this car. I apologize. I got on the phone. It's now 2:30. I started this at noon, and I've been trying to get a hold of the owner of Jenny Air Compressors for about a week now, and so we finally caught up, and so we spent an hour talking about what I'm going to do with compressed air, and gee whiz, come on. And so we're going to end up doing a 5 horsepower. I really wanted the 7.5 horsepower. I don't know why. It just seemed like 7.5 was better than 5. You know, looking at the CFM ratings, but the thing I didn't realize is then you need a 50 amp circuit for that. And so I think that a lot of people are going to have a really hard time, me included, getting hold of a 50 amp circuit. you know, dimming the lights in your house. And so we're going to stick with the 5 horsepower unit, which will be fine. I'm going to be working with them, Prevost, Air Rev. So Kevin Gollier at Air Rev is going to be super helpful at helping me figure this out. I spent a lot of time with a guy by the name of Brad Wilson from Prevost, helping me figure out all the fittings. And so, man, there's so much stuff that you would never even consider when building a compressed air system. Gee whiz, man, this isn't that hard. I've done this 100 times. So one of the beauties of this car, if you haven't gone, like if you're newer to the channel and you haven't watched some of my older stuff of me messing around with exhausts, jeez, man, it's like cockroach crazy out here. Actually, that's a palmetto bug. But anyway, one of the really great parts about Porsche, I need to stop saying Porsche. I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to fix it, I promise. Porsche. So one of the great things about this car, or these cars in general, is this rear bumper comes off and goes back on. I mean, I took the bumper off once on my S2000. I think it's impossible to get back on straight. This thing, I do it by myself. So anyway, what I'm doing here is I'm trading the car. And, you know, there are lots of 2014s for sale, you know, and lots of 15s, lots of 16s, especially with anticipation of the new car. And so I know I could sell this car. The car's in great condition. I mean, there's some rock chips from the mountains, but other than that, I mean, the paint is flawless, and that, you know, I don't have any swirl marks. You know, I have the thing really corrected out, and I've taken really great care of this car. So that, you know, that's a huge advantage. But you know, the chances that the person that buys this car that values that as much as I do probably really doesn't matter as much. And so I decided to trade the car rather than attempting to sell it. The other reason is this. I mean, so here's what happened. So sure, I wanted to end up with the 2016 Raptor, right, or 2018 Raptor, and a GT3 RS. That's where I wanted to end up. So that was the goal, to end up with the Raptor and then a GT3 RS. And so step one was to figure out, you know, which one that I want to do first. And so I decided, you know, the quickest, easiest thing to do would be to get the Raptor. And so to clean up my car life a little bit, you know, my thought process was, well, what I'll do is I'll call up the Ford dealer and see if I could get a Raptor. And so I called up my buddy, and then I figured I would have to sell. So I called up my buddy Justin Land at Weikert. Oh my gosh, I did so many AMAT setups yesterday. I can't get up. Called them up thinking, you know, I'd probably have to sell some cars and, you know, sell it privately because they were going to, you know, dealer trade-in wasn't going to be very good. And I'd take my time and list everything for sale and, you know, do the deal. Do what I normally do. And so I said, look, what would it look like if I traded both my GT350 and my Raptor? You know, could I get out of both of those really quickly and easily, trading them? Yeah, what kind of price would you get me? What is wrong with this thing? And so that's when he came back and said, all right, we'll give you 52 on the GT350. And I don't know why in my head I thought, you know, 55 would make sense to me, you know, if I sold at private party. So he was right on, you know, 52, but then I get $2,500 in tax saving, and then no headache of trying to sell it, deal with money exchanges and title exchanges and all that stuff. I was like, man, that's a pretty darn good deal. I'll take it. Let's do it. So that happened really fast. Like, I sent him the email of what, you know, all the VIN and all that stuff, and he came back like the next day. I'll be honest with you, I actually forgotten about it. Forgotten that I even sent the email to him, because now apparently my life is chaos. I did this to myself though. I went from obscurity to now all these opportunities. It's insane. Dang, that's a pain in the butt to get on that thing. And so he came back, $40,000 for the Raptor. I paid $44,000 for it. Had it for what, a year and a half. You know, the new Raptorette sticker, which I just added all the trailer and lane assist part that I didn't really want, but I didn't realize it had trailer assist, which is super cool. Maybe it'll teach me how to back up a trailer. The lane change assist, so that obviously won't help me back up a trailer, but so the Raptor 67. So I'm like, wow, you know, that's great. And so while that was happening, my buddy Jonathan, who's the owner of Merit Partners, I'd reached out to him and said, hey, you know, I'm thinking about doing this, you know, ending up with an RS. Gee whiz, man. Thinking about ending up with an RS and a Raptor. I don't know if I'll sell my S2000 or not. It really doesn't matter. Because I'm not going to drive that car all that much, even if I do keep it. You know, just be more of a, you know, fun, you know, once every couple of weeks type car. But I'd like a white RS with black wheels. And so while I'm talking to him on the phone, that very first conversation, he said, dude, I'll have to check on this, but the exact spec you're talking about was for sale. And they wanted $5,000 over sticker. And it had 400 miles on it. I was like, holy crap. That's incredible. Now it had yellow seat belts and yellow stitching, but you know, it was exactly what I wanted. It had clear tail lights, but you know, I would just buy new red tail lights and swap that out. And but other than that, you know, other than yellow seat belts and yellow stitching, it was pretty spot on. And I actually I would never spec or never buy yellow, or choose yellow if I had the choice, but I bet you it ends up growing on me. I bet you end up liking it. So anyway, then I'm like, holy crap, that's perfect. What do you think we could get for my car? And so we were going to try to do, you know, he said we were going to try to do it where, you know, I would get the RS and then I would sell my car and he would help me sell it. And so we could make a nice smooth transfer of all the, you know, the stereo and, you know, put this back to stock and then, you know, I could just take my time. And he said, you know, you should really consider leasing the car through, you know, a leasing agency or a company that specializes in leasing high-end sports cars. And I said, man, that would be fantastic. I'd like to lease through Porsche, sorry. I'd like to lease through Porsche, but you know, their terms are always so crappy. You know, they don't lease these cars, even if they offer a lease option. And the reason for the lease on a business, like let's just say, for example, my S2000. You know, I bought my S2000 cash, just wrote the check right out of you know, Obsessed Garage business checking account, because the whole purpose for the S2000 is this channel, you know, doing this stuff, and so all the revenue from that is coming specifically from, or the revenue to pay for that is coming specifically from this, you know, making these videos. And so, you know, the IRS may dispute it, but I think there's no question that, you know, without, you know, the revenue from Obsessed Garage, you know, it's not coming without the cars and without the videos. Anyway, I bought the car, and when you buy the car through a business, if you're not, you know, super familiar with how this works, but you know, when you buy a car, let's say you financed it. Now, I didn't finance the S2000, so you know, actually, let's use that example. So if you pay cash for it, I don't know why I was thinking this, but I would think, you know, so the S2000 was $40,000. So, you know, if I had $40,000 in income, it would be a direct offset, right? So that $40,000 S2000 was an expense. But the S2000 is a car, so it's not an expense, it's an asset. So, I guess, I think there's a level where it's below a certain dollar amount, like Adam LZ bought, you know, that S15. I think he can deduct those cars because they're cheap, you know. But I believe a car that's registered has to be booked as an asset. And so when you book the car as an asset, you don't get the deduction, you don't get the offset of income. Now I will get, and I believe it's a 7-year depreciation schedule, so I will get some depreciation each year. But that's not the same as a direct expense, right? Which is what I was looking to do, reduce income. See, these are T25. I'm going to take the taillight out without damaging the paint here like they did at Porsche. So a lease, assuming you put no money down, and even if you do put some money down, I believe you can deduct it against the life of the lease. But generally speaking, you wouldn't want to put money down in a lease. The car's totaled, and you don't have gap insurance. There's an issue there. Now, I would have gap insurance, so it wouldn't matter. But my main issue right now in life is cash flow. I'm buying all this inventory as I'm building Obsessed Garage as the business. So all this inventory I'm buying, it requires cash. And so every time I launch a new product, I have a bunch of cash outlay, that I need to pay. And I don't want to be taking from my personal savings anymore. I've done enough of that. I've taken enough risk there, and that's why I haven't built the garage, because I took all this capital that I was going to use to build the garage. Well, one, we finished the interior of the house, and then two, I put all this money out to build this business. Buying shirts and detailing supplies and all this crazy stuff that I've been buying to do this, and it's been extremely profitable. I think my margins are around. I don't know what my pre-tax margins are after expenses, but it's probably somewhere around 25%. When I'm selling lots and lots of stuff, I think I'm already well over $1 million in sales, since I started this. And so, it's a legitimate business, right? And just growing. I'm going to have more and more and more product, more and more ideas that I come out with. Let me see, where is the... Yeah, gotta make sure I disconnect the plate. So anyway, leasing is a huge advantage, because let's say the lease payment is $3,000 on a $220,000 car. That lease payment is then a direct deduction for me. So if I have $3,000 in sales, or $3,000 in profit from the sales, I have $3,000 in expenses that offset that. Pull this bumper off. Whereas again, if I buy or finance the car, or even own the car, if I pay cash for the car, I'm only able to depreciate it. It's not a direct deduction. And right now, cash flow is key for me in the business, especially when I eventually hire some people outside of my parents, if I hire some people. All right, so bumper's off. Before I get too far ahead, let's just do this right now. Before I get further, I'm gonna swap out the air filters, because I know if I don't do it now, I'll end up putting the bumper back on and completely forgetting to do it. That's the wrong size. Make the T25. I figure the bumper's coming off anyway, so might as well do this. I promise I'm going to get a magnetic tray. I'm going to be getting Sonic tools and Sonic cabinets most likely here soon. I'm going to start doing it. I'll be doing, the reason why I'm not doing this work in my air-conditioned garage condo is I don't have any tools there yet. I don't want to take everything I own over there, just this one deal. There's our BMC filters, nice and clean. Yeah, still, there's a little dirt in there, but I'll clean these up and put these Actually, I guess I could probably sell them because I won't need to put them on the RS because I think the RS has BMC filters on it. We'll find out when we pull up the bumper to do the Dundon exhaust on it. And these are the original paper filters I took off at, you know, say 1,000 miles or whenever I did it. So again, Jonathan was telling me about this leasing option, right? I'm like, man, that sounds awesome. I mean, I didn't think you could lease a GT3. There's no way. I mean, they're not going to let you do that. If you did, I mean, the pricing is going to be so terrible that it's just not going to be, it's just not feasible. And so this company, you're not able to lease anything over sticker. So again, this car was at 5K over sticker. So I decided I'm going to lease it. So in our timeline here, this was before I knew that, so I'd reached out to Justin at Weichert Ford to trade the 2 other cars. And then Jonathan was working on this other car, but the car, we thought it was sold. And so then we found out it wasn't sold. And so then we decided, all right, let's do it. Let's try to get the car at 5,000 over, which I promised I would never pay over sticker for any car ever, and here I am doing it. And then, so we talked to the guy, and he said, yeah, it's still available. And he called him back and left message after message, nothing. So we never got any info. We never got any info back. And so that deal was dead. Okay, airbox is back in, just like new. So let's get the heat shields off. So anyway, the terms of the lease were pretty simple. You know, the effective money factor, the effective interest rate, so it wasn't the money factor, but the interest rate, the particulars on this are pretty basic. You know, the path for this lease is, you know, the intent is for ownership, right? So the idea here is that you're leasing it with the intent to either you turn over cars a lot, so there's a 1-year prepayment penalty. You'd have to pay 1 month's worth of 1 month's payment up front, or on the back end that was your payment penalty, or your, I guess, your prepayment penalty if you broke the lease early. But in general, you know, statistics show the guys who own sports cars will, you know, sell them every 30 months. You turn it over. Oh, shoot. Well, I've had this car longer than that, but the other cars had for a lot less than that. So anyway, it's probably good that this worked out, because who knows, when the new RS comes out, who knows what I'll end up doing. But the new RS probably won't be out for another year. Oh shoot, I forgot that has to stay on there for a minute. I have to get those off first. So all you guys that are getting all crazy about, you know, leasing is renting, all that stuff, you know, in this case, you know, leasing is never renting, first of all. Leasing is just a different way of financing. You're financing depreciation. So when you finance the depreciation, you're just negotiating that up front, and then you can choose to, there's a balloon at the end, you could, whatever the residual is, and you can just choose to pay it. And so the terms on this were, I'd have to put 10,000 bucks down, or 5,000 bucks down, because that was the, dang it, can I pay attention here? Because that's what was required, you know, because you can't lease paying over sticker. which makes perfect sense to me. You know, and that is, so it was $5,000 down, you know, first month's payment, you know, and an origination fee of $1,000 on the loan, you know, which is where they make a, you know, decent amount of their profit, plus the spread that they make. Oh yeah, I got that one all the way in there that you have to get. This one here. Which, you know, was cool. I mean, so the effective interest rate was like 6%, and I get to keep my cash, and then I get to write off the entire payment. It's cool, you know, through the business. And then, you know, the beauty of an RS is that, you know, it should theoretically hold its value pretty well. And so, you know, I wouldn't lose any money on it. I'd end up, but then again, that's what we said about this car too. And I'll get into what I ended up selling it for here in a minute. So I got the leasing thing all figured out. I was ready to go, but then the guy never called us back. He went AWOL. Still haven't heard anything from that guy. And so I was like, okay, I was kind of relieved because I'm like, okay, good. And I wasn't really ready to do this anyway. I'm going to be doing the whole Raptor deal, so I don't want to go there, so let's not go there. So then I got to take a deep breath and live to fight another day. And then a few days later, so I'd picked out the Raptor, picked out all the spec, you know, got the spec, get it all figured out. Here's exactly what I'm gonna do. And then I went and started searching at other dealers, and I found the identical car. The only difference is, and I don't like, is this one has XM satellite radio. But it has 700 miles on it. And I called and got the guy's story, and you know, it's an older guy who buys like every Ferrari and every exotic car this place has, and keeps them for whatever, a year or less, and comes in and trades them in. I was like, sweet, okay, this is the car. This is the car I'm looking for. So again, thinking I'm going to take my time, and now I'm going after the second car. I gotta make sure that these threads don't break. If they do, I'm screwed. Absolutely screwed. So let's take a break here. So started working with this dealer, and again, I'm still intending to do the lease deal, and I'm gonna do this car. And my intent was to, so remove the valve tubing. All right, so let's get the O2 sensors disconnected. And completely remove side mufflers. It's a 22 mil. Needs to go that way. So as I'm deciding, okay, this is the car, let's try to get this one. And my intent was to get the car, bring it down here, and then sell my GT3, because I really want to trade it, because I think my car's worth more than what I'm going to get on a trade. You know, and I can market it pretty well, so chances are I can find somebody to buy it in relatively short order. I'm being really careful with these studs because the studs are in the exhaust. I just don't want to. It would be no big deal to go get it to fix it, but I don't have time for that right now because they could be picking up this car tomorrow. Good. All these are PV blasted and removed. Let's get our O2 sensors out. And so okay, I decided this is a terrible timing. Now I'm doing 3 cars at once, right? The Raptor's due in November, but I got to get the GT350 prepped and ready to go. You know, I'm gonna have to do that in the next couple of days, and then boom, now I'm trying to work out this deal, and you know, I'm still got all kinds of other stuff going on. You know, dealing with clients, potential clients, you know, in wealth management, dealing with people buying stuff. I now have Michelle helping me, you know, with helping my dad and I with customer service to make sure you guys get your tracking in time when you order stuff. Yeah, it's really hard to get the tracking from the vendors like Swiss Tracks or Sabre Cabinets or Krenzla. It's easier for us, to get you what ours is. All right, so let's remove this piece. This is good. This is really good. Let's get the side muffler off. So anyway, got all this bad timing going on, but it was all working out. So I get to the leasing agency. I say, let's do it. I'm going to try this. This is going to be great. So I provide W-2s, tax statements, everything you need to get an approval. Shoot, things on there pretty tightly, it's sealed up. I got a new set of AccuSeals for the RS. I don't have to remove this, but it'll be a lot easier. So then I submit the paperwork, get all the information, and the terms we were talking about were just nowhere near what, I mean, part of it is, and this was the thing that I wasn't certain, I mean, having 2 GT3s and I still have my other cars, you know, on my credit. I mean, although I own most of them, it's just, I was worried that I wouldn't get approved. You know, I have this fear, I'm sure many of you know what I'm talking about, but like, anytime I've ever bought a house or a car or anything, I've always assumed that they're not going to give me the money. And then they always do. And so I was under that same impression. I need these gaskets. There we go. So that's side number 1. I'll have to take the plate off and get the header off here in a minute. So I'm going to go do side number 2 while I guess I continue this story with you. So I apply for it. I'm on pins and needles, but what I was going to do was just, you know, have them ship the car right down to me. It'd be great. And I got the terms back, and it was junk. They just weren't good. I mean, my credit's great. My cash flow or my income looks so-so because I've got, you know, got all this income from Obsessed Garage. It doesn't really show because I, you know, try not to show a lot of income. Go. Let's hit these again. And so it was like put $47,000 down, and I'm like, well, shoot, if I'm going to do that, I'd rather just buy the car. I don't care about the tax savings. And so I decided I'm not doing that. So at that point, the deal was dead. And it also cued me into the fact that, you know, I just didn't feel right about this. I'm like, I don't know about having the 2 cars, and what happens if I get stuck with this for a long time? I just don't want to do that. I don't want to have that hanging over me. I'm just gonna make sure they don't heat up so they don't snap off, hopefully. So the deal was dead. I'm like, well, shoot. Oh, and they wanted my car sold before they would do it. I'm like, I don't know that I can't get that done. The leasing idea, that dream was dead. So then I had to, shoot, I promised you guys I was gonna start using gloves, but it's a little late now. So then I think I slept on it, and then I said to the dealership that I was dealing with, the only way I think I'm going to be able to do this and do it, you know, and feel good about it is to just trade my car. Would you take a trade on it? But the logistics of that are insane because they're in Cincinnati and I'm here in Orlando, north of Orlando. And so I didn't think that was really going to be viable, but then we started working the numbers out and it worked out. And so I'm selling my car for 120 grand, which I think is fair. I mean, the car's probably worth 130, 135, who knows? I mean, the sticker was 156. I made, you know, this car is more than paid for itself. I mean, to be able to drive a GT3 for 4 years and get what I've gotten out of it, I feel really comfortable with it, with the deal. Started to get hot. Gotta be careful. Let's get these off. Boom. Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.